So exciting to have you all here for our Grapevine Leader Roundtable today. So appreciate you all giving up an hour of your time to join us. I'm gonna let some people trickle in, but if people, as you're getting your camera set up and joining in, feel free to drop in the chat your name, where you're calling in from, and the giving circle that you're a part of. Just want to give folks a few more minutes. I know we're always in this virtual age running from one Zoom room to another, so just want to give people a few seconds to be able to join in. But yeah, feel free to add in the chat where you're calling from. Oh wow, calling in from Debbie, calling in from Maui. Welcome, welcome. Alex from California, Northern California. Beautiful. Hi, Meg. Adrian, hello. Amazing. Welcome, welcome. Yes, so glad to have you here. Hi, Wendy. Great. Amazing. Well, feel free to keep adding into the chat. I'm going to be monitoring the participants coming in, making sure everybody is able to hop on. But I don't want to delay us too much. We have two fantastic leaders that have agreed to share some of their tactics for member engagement, focus particularly around events. I know that this is something that, I think a lot of leaders and a lot of giving circles really like look to and aspire to be able to have this as a feature of their giving circle. So that's something that we really wanted to be able to highlight with this round table today. So really looking at member engagement from that events and community lens. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to pass it over to our first leader, Christy, to introduce herself and share a little bit more. Christy?
Yes, I'm here. Hi, everyone.
Lost you on my screen.
Yeah, I didn't know if you wanted to go to my bio slide.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. So my name's Christy Windsor. My giving circle is Tampa Women for Good. So I'm in sunny Florida. And we have been around about 3 years now. We have about 400 members. We are an open group. We're not a limited group. And to date, we have raised about $106,000 for our local community. And we do our quarterly gathering grants, but also try to host monthly events as well. You can go to the next slide. Thank you. So just a few key, pieces of advice that I have learned over our 3 years is we try to make our events, high in volume, high in variety, and very vibrant. So something that's really unique, something that will make people say, I want to go to that because I don't know when they'll do something like that again. And then if it works really well, then we will try to repeat it. So, here's some examples of some of the things that we've done. We did like a picnic on the Riverwalk where we just invited everyone to bring something to share. And we all, met on the grassy lawn along the Riverwalk. There was live music. We had a fun little picnic. It was super low barrier to entry. We did a rescue puppy yoga where we engaged with a animal rescue group. They brought out rescue puppies and all the funds went to that rescue group. I mean, people were clamoring over each other to sign up for that one because who wouldn't want to play with puppies? And very little yoga was done that day, I'll admit, but everyone had a great time. We did a little clubs and cocktails at an indoor golf simulator where we just said, hey, if you've never swung a golf club before, you want to learn how to swing a golf club or come out and have fun and be silly. You don't have to be good at it. Come out and meet us and we'll just have some canned cocktails and just kind of network and do something you haven't done before, right? And then we have one coming up, a merchant market this fall. And that's where inviting all of our members who have their own businesses to have a little bit of a like a vendor table, and then our members can come out and support them and shop their goods. So we're doing a give back percentage from that as well. So a portion of proceeds will go to our charities, but it's about uplifting each other. So we have non-business members who will come out and shop, and then business owners who are getting to showcase their goods and services to everyone. So just wanted to give those quick examples. We love our social media. We try to be really engaged in our social media. We have two leaders who are part of our leadership who help push out great social content and tag a lot of our members there so they can reshare. And that is how we get a lot of engagement that way too. All of our events are open to people who are non-members as well. So that's how we're able to kind of grow our group to such a large size. And then a couple other, rituals or practices that have worked well for us. We try to do a fun little raffle at a lot of our gathering grant events. So we'll have some sort of fun prize, and you earn an entry for attending, for bringing a friend, for bringing a snack or a beverage to share. So we try to incentivize people to really like bring somebody with you, bring something to share. So it's not all falling on our leadership to bring the snacks, bring the drinks, try to figure out how we're filling the room, right? And then we're raffling off, something fun for everybody that night. Another great tactic we have employed is when we do give a grant to a nonprofit, we'll sometimes ask them, hey, do you have an event coming up that we can apply this grant towards as like a sponsorship to get some tickets to your event? So we can send some members to come and learn more about your mission and support you. So a lot of times we're able to then get tickets to a luncheon or a gala. And then that's another way to incentivize our members for being so active. And we can say, hey, we got 8 tickets to this fun handbags and happy hour event. Who wants to go? And people love that kind of stuff. So that's a way of really like rewarding our members for being engaged, as they then get to go attend these fun events, and it doesn't cost them anything because we've already made the donation. And then a few learning curves from us that we have found have not worked is if we've tried to expand too far out from our city center. We're in Tampa Bay. It's a very large market area. When we go, 30, 45 minutes outside of where our group tends to live, we've seen lower engagement. Or if we've had events that are a little too expensive to attend, then that tends to be higher barrier to entry and we don't get as much engagement there. So little fun nuggets of knowledge for you. Thank you. Some advice for new leaders. I can tell you, I'm so grateful that I can be successful because of the team of leaders that is around me. We've recruited some really amazing ladies who are very, very engaged. And what we did is we just sent out the bat signal and said, who is passionate about giving back and wants to be more involved in this group? Like who wants to do more social media? Who wants to help us with volunteer events? And I'm so blessed that we have people who stepped up who are really passionate. And we have this core group of leadership who have really connected to each other and can lean on each other and help make our events successful. So that to me has really helped, because if I was just trying to do this by myself, I would have burnt out by now. And I know that it's easy to feel a little burnt out because sometimes it's kind of thankless running your group, right? So I would just encourage you to not be afraid to ask for help, because there are people out there. Most people want to be more involved. They just need the opportunity to act on that. So our approach is very meet you where you're at. We want people to feel like whatever you can do, that's okay with us. If you can't attend an event and all you can do is just give on a quarterly basis, that's fine. If you can't make it to this event, there'll be another one in the future. We don't want it to be an added, like a hassle or a chore where you feel like, oh gosh, I don't want to be part of this group because I can never do anything. And then they're looking down at me. No, it's okay. If you can't come, you'll make it the next time. If you can donate, great. If you can come and volunteer, that's great. If you can attend and socialize, that's great. We are very meet you where you're at, very low barrier to entry. And a couple things I'm really excited to announce that we're working on in our leadership is we are forming an email template for our nonprofit nominations to request all the information for our gathering grants, because that can sometimes be a really lengthy process, right? To reach out to all those nonprofits and get all the info you need for your slide deck. So our leadership is putting together a great Google form that asks them all that information. They upload their pictures, they add their mission statement. We collect it all on the back end. And then we're also developing a leadership agreement and some succession planning, because we don't want people to feel like, oh gosh, I took on this role and I have to do this forever. It's okay. Things happen, like work starts to pick up and maybe you can't take on the responsibilities that you had before. So we want people to feel like, okay, if you need some help, let's recruit somebody else to help you, or let's onboard someone else and give them a few months to train. And then you can back away and take a step back. And we've actually had some of our leaders who've had to do that. They've taken a step back for their career, and then they've come back to us when they've had the time and the capacity to do so. So I'm very excited that we're trying to improve our processes, and I'm really, really encouraged with the job that our leadership's doing. Thanks, Nora. Okay, a couple fun initiatives that I wanted to highlight. This is one of my favorites. It's called Bitches Who Brunch. So we will pull a female dog from the local animal shelter and invite them out to brunch with our members. So we'll pick a restaurant with a lovely patio that's dog friendly. We bring this female dog out with us. She wears an Adopt Me bandana or an Adopt Me vest. And we have little printouts with a QR code with more information about this female dog. And we spend the 3 or 4 hours together brunching, getting the dog socialized. There's lots of scrambled eggs and bacon for the dog to enjoy. And then we're walking her around in a public area to get her some exposure to potential adopters and really just give them a break from the noisy animal shelter environment and let them just sort of decompress, enjoy some love and affection that they really deserve. So this is one of our group's favorite initiatives. We get a really good turnout. I mean, who doesn't love brunch, right? So, and we also do not gatekeep on any of these tactics. So I encourage all of you, if you like something we're doing, please replicate it, especially when it comes to getting dogs out of the shelter. Please, everybody do Bitches Who Brunch if you like the idea. And I can tell you, every dog that we've pulled has been rescued, has been adopted. You can go to the next slide, Nora. And then another fun initiative we do, we'll do these craft and connect evenings. So we try to combine a social element with a give back. So it's more than just getting together and socializing and networking. We'll have everybody bring maybe one item that collectively together we will build something. So the one photo on the left here is us building snack kits for United Way. Those were meant to hold kids over during the weekends when they couldn't have their free and reduced lunch to their free and reduced breakfast from Friday to Monday. So we were building these snack kits that kids could take home on the weekends. They had little Easy Macs and applesauce and drink pouches and things like that, non-perishable goods. So everybody brought, a couple dozen of one item, and then we packed little assorted snack kits. The other photo are little homeless kits we did. So everyone brought lots of one item. Maybe it was a pair of socks or, a little tuna salad kit or a crossword puzzle book. And then together collectively, we made a little assembly line and everybody left with little homeless kits that we could keep in our cars and give out these blessing bags to people when we encountered them in our lives. So it made everybody feel like they were actively doing something while also socializing. So I think there's one more slide. Okay, and a couple of fun milestones that we're really proud of. We had a lovely news segment where we were featured in the What's Great with Tampa Bay. And collectively, we have raised $106,000. So we had a 100 grand celebration to celebrate the fact that we hit those 6 figures. And it was just a fun event where we invited everyone out to really collectively celebrate what we have done, because it's nothing to sneeze at, the fact that you're just a group of people getting together who are pulling money from your own pockets. We don't have, corporate sponsorships. At least my group doesn't. We don't have government grants. So this was all just our small group coming together and making six figures. And we gave to 42 nonprofits over the last 3 years. So we just really wanted to celebrate that. We invited out leaders from each of those charity groups to celebrate with us. We had it at a local winery, and we took a big picture with our presentation check, which is on the next slide. So it was just a way to really celebrate our members and give them the opportunity to feel seen and appreciated for all that they do on a monthly and quarterly basis. So one thing that I neglected to mention earlier that I'm really grateful that we did, we opened up our giving each quarter. We used to do 3 nominations, and we'd pick, I think the top 2 would split the pot and one would go away with nothing. And it broke our hearts. And I was like, why are we doing this? We don't want there to be any losers. So we've now opened it up to 5 nominations each quarter, and everybody walks away with something. So it's sort of a tiered amount that we give. The more votes, the more money they make, but everybody is a winner. It also helps all of our members to feel like they're being heard, because we're getting a lot more nominations who are coming to fruition, right? Who people are nominating and they're seeing their nonprofits get these grants. So our members are really feeling validated in that respect too. But I know I probably went over my time, but I just want to say my favorite part of being in this group is truly the relationships that I've had. I'm so, so grateful to have met this amazing group of authentic ladies. And the friendships that I have formed along the way are just priceless. And our next goal is $250,000. And I know I'm very hopeful, and if I can be at all helpful to anyone out there, please reach out to me, and I'd love to help in any way that I can. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Christy. That was amazing. I teared up thinking about all the dogs at Bitches Who Brunch who have gone home for their forever homes. That made me really happy to hear. And I'm sure that folks are buzzing with ideas and questions. So, but don't worry. After we hear from Steve, we're also going to pop into some breakout rooms. So you'll have some time with everyone else in this room to kind of chat about some ideas and also get some one-on-one time with Steve and Christy. So without further ado, I'd love to pass it over to our second leader today, Steve, to share a little bit about himself and his work.
Oh, thank you. And Nora, kudos to you and the team for hosting these events, these webinar events. They're awesome. Christy, wow, congratulations, man. What an incredible group you've built. And, you've already given me a ton of ideas, so I really appreciate that. So yeah, I'm kind of going to give a little bit of a different take on a group that is, I would say, very much in startup mode. We've had a very, very slow start. And so, however, we have some things that are getting us some traction. And as I'll present at the very end, I think our group is about to take off. And so what I'm presenting more on today is some things that we've learned and some things that we're doing. Some are similar to what Christy's doing, some maybe a little bit different. But it might give you some ideas. It might give you some, even if you're a larger group, we can all learn from each other. But at the same time, if you're a small group that's struggling, or maybe you're frustrated, or you're trying to get off the ground, or maybe you're in a more rural location, who knows? There might be some things in here that might resonate with you. So my name is Steve Bennett. I am in the Ann Arbor area. It's interesting. We've had to talk a little bit about our focus area because obviously Ann Arbor proper is kind of our main focus, but the communities immediately surrounding Ann Arbor are a huge focus and frankly a part of Ann Arbor. So we've kind of broadened our focus to the area in and surrounding Ann Arbor. We had a lot of starts and stops since late 2023. And I'll talk a little bit about that. We only have 25 members. But like I said, we just had a phenomenal meeting this past week on Friday. And again, I think we're about to take off. We've supported 11 organizations so far and just about to break a $10,000 mark. And major inspiration from what Christy shared, around $100,000, and holy cow, 250. That's hard for me to comprehend, but kudos to you guys. So the first thing I just want to mention there is one of the things that we have tweaked in terms of how we talk about our group is our messaging. And obviously, you know, the Grapevine model and the donations is kind of the lifeblood of the whole thing. And that makes a lot of sense. But I just want to draw your attention to the quote on the right that we actually put that we support nonprofits, not just with financial donations, but also by giving of our time and providing advocacy. And we have found that kind of talking about these three pillars in different ways in different settings is really resonating with folks. And I'll talk a little bit more about that here in a minute. If you go to the next slide. The first thing I would just put out there, and this is something that is very applicable for myself, is just to stay motivated. And for me, that's kind of like, what's your why? You know, why are you doing this? And just to share with you a brief story. So I joined Grapevine in late 2023. And, you know, there was just a handful of guys that were on the site. And it took me a little bit to learn that, you know, I was sort of like, I'm going to check this group out. You know, I want to see what's going on. I'm going to go to one of these meetings, you know. And suddenly I realized that really the model is somebody needs to raise their hand to start having meetings or to start having get-togethers, right? And so myself and we got a slow start from that. Another guy and myself kind of figured that out. We raised our hand. We started getting together. Before you know it, we had like 3 or 4 guys. So we said, all right, we started being more active on the portal. We started doing outreach via LinkedIn and friends and colleagues and all those types of things. And finally, we got around to saying, let's do an in-person event. So we picked a brewery. You know, my friend tells me that he's like, don't get down. He's like, you know, dudes are harder. Dudes are harder to get out and get together. And I don't know if I buy that, but anyhow. So we had this thing in our brewery, and you see the little picture there of the sign and my beer. The guy that I was working with, he had a last minute thing that happened. He couldn't come. Nobody came. Nobody came to my first event. And it was like, so frustrating. Interestingly enough, the waiter saw me there sitting with my sign and my drink. He felt bad for me. And we started talking. And lo and behold, he was super interested. And he's actually with fraternities with the University of Michigan. He said, I don't know if you know this, but a lot of fraternities have to do some form of philanthropy work every year. And we have to give money. And I'll be honest, sometimes we don't really know who we're giving to, or if this is a credible, you know, nonprofit, et cetera. And he was all excited. And so connection was there. But to go back to my original point, how do you stay motivated? And so I just, this is a personal thing for me. I hope I don't sound too preachy here, but if you look at my profile picture there and the picture on the left, that is there intentionally for me. It is less of a professional picture. And the reason is actually on the next slide. If you zoom out, that is actually a picture of me and my son. And we did a father-son trip. He actually got to pick where we got to go, and he chose Alaska. And one of the things that he said, I really want to see Denali. I just hope we can see Denali. I hope we can see Denali. And I don't know if you're familiar, but half the time it's clouded in, you know, you can't see it, all this type of stuff. Well, long story short, this is a picture of him and I with Denali in the background. What an incredible moment, right? And when I start to think about how grateful I was for that and all of the reasons why that moment might not have happened for me, mental health issues with me or my son, broken family, financial reasons, environmental reasons. I mean, I'll bet you we could come up with a list of at least a dozen reasons why I might not have been able to have that moment. So for me, it's all about gratitude. And the natural next thing that comes for me is I want to give back, right? So that's kind of my anchor. That's my why. If you go to the next slide, the other thing that I found really refreshing about the Grapevine model, and we have really found that the message resonates with folks, is it's a different way to think about giving back. And so I just, you know, if you'll bear with me a second here, I like to get a little creative, but on the left side is something we're all familiar with. You know, you get something in the mail, you send in a check, maybe you attend a fundraiser. Don't stop doing that. Nonprofits still need you to do that, okay? But if you'll bear with me for a second, on the right, this is a way to maybe think about what we do as grapevines. And there's a little bit of analogy here, but just imagine that what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the nonprofits on stage. We're trying to like show them off, right, to the community, to the area. And it's almost like we think of our group as like, we're the sound guys, we're the lighting guys, we created the stage, we promoted the event, all these things to try to highlight the nonprofit. Obviously we want to get people to come to give money to see the band, right, to donate to the group, and then we also obviously pass ahead as well. This is super refreshing to me, and it's a different way to start getting people thinking about how they can give back. On the next slide, the other thing that I really like about the model, again, I'm going to use another analogy, is, first of all, my kids asked me, Dad, what's that picture of? I'm like, okay, well, we used to have this thing called stereos that had knobs on it, anyhow. So a way to think about this is when somebody signs up for a Grapevine, it's kind of like flipping the switch on, right on the left. It's like the power switch. Then from there, and you heard Christy talk about it, is how much time and energy do you have? And we found, like, let's be real. There are ebbs and flows with life. And sometimes you have more time or more energy or more motivation, and sometimes you don't. And part of what I love about the model is you can dial up or dial down your involvement at any time based on what's going on in your life. And we try to encourage folks, hey, have a little extra time, or maybe you're a little extra motivated, be a leader for a while, come help us out. And then you can see the other three knobs I have there. One's money. I didn't realize, or maybe it was a recent change from Grapevine, but I always thought that everybody gives $100, across the board. That's the set amount. That's what you can do. I have since learned that at any point in time or any donation cycle, somebody can give more money. And I've also found that somebody can dial down and give less money. Nora will keep me honest, so I make sure I'm not giving anything that's not incorrect, but I believe that's the model. And then same thing with time. And then I just want to make a point about advocacy. We are in a smaller, more rural area, and so many of these nonprofits tell us people do not know we even exist. And so being advocates for them and spreading the word is having a significant benefit for them. And sometimes that word gets to somebody that's looking to do a major donation. They might have deep pockets, or maybe they're looking to do something affiliated with their company. So we're finding that advocacy piece is significant as well. You go to the next slide. I think part of what goes without saying is that, yes, we talk about social and networking opportunities. And I just think this is so important for people. Some people, it's more professional networking, which is great. But I also feel like in this day and age, especially for all kinds of reasons, that sense of being a part of something or belonging to a group that is giving back, I think, is super powerful. And, I just feel like a lot of folks really want to give back, but to do it with a group of people that sort of share that passion, we're finding that is a really appealing message to a lot of folks. You go to the next slide. And so, again, I guess my message is stick with it, be creative. And my third is find connectors. So in terms of being creative, Christy gave some wonderful examples of really taking creativity in lots of directions. We've done the same thing. We do have our quarterly meetings. They're never formal, but I'll say they're maybe a little more formal in the sense that we have nonprofits coming and attending and speaking and things like that. But we've created this thing we call casual hangouts, and that's just an opportunity to get together in between our quarterly meetings. So we have Bros and Brews, which is just a chance to get together and have a drink together. We've created Bros and Joe, which is a chance to have coffee, in the morning. And you get the idea. It's a chance to get together, socialize. If somebody wants to come and check us out and have questions, great. We can do that. And then the other thing that we did, thank you, Nora, for your help on this, but there was a design and a sort of a flyer that Grapevine had, and Nora was kind enough to put it in a business card size. And so I took some of our messaging, I put it on there, I went to a local printer and printed them off. We handed these out at the last meeting, and the idea is spread the word. You know, it is that whole advocacy piece. It's also talking about joining our Grapevine. The QR code takes them directly to our member site. The last point I want to make on here, especially if you're early on, and we can talk about this in some of the breakouts, is look for what I call connectors. And what I mean by that, there's a book that talks about this persona type. I forget what the name of it is, but there are just people out there that are just so good at connecting to other people. And they have these huge networks because they're very, very good at it. Look for those people. If you go to the next slide, part of the reason I feel like we are starting to catch fire and take off is because we have found some of those connectors. So just to give you some examples, again, we're a very small group. One of those connectors connected us with a local radio show. Myself and one of my leaders was invited, and they did a full half-hour show with us talking about Ann Arbor Guys for Good and the Grapevine model. It aired across multiple stations just last week. We also got connected with the owner of a local newspaper. Yes, they still print newspapers. And he is really excited about the Grapevine model and Guys for Good. Lo and behold, he does a monthly networking breakfast, and they actually similarly feature a nonprofit every month at one of those. And so now he wants to partner with Guys for Good on how can we do that together. He wants to do a story on us in the newspaper and things like that. And then the last thing is an interesting one. That's a picture of David Whitinger and his wife. He's one of those connectors, and he happens to own a business called Office Evolution, which is essentially a pay for an office space if you need one. You can either rent by the hour or have meetings there, things like that. They actually have a podcast room, etc. He has been, not only has he joined our group, but he's offered to have our meetings there sometimes, which is good for him and good for us. We actually like going to have meetings at some of our nonprofit locations because it's a chance to go to their space if they have a space and learn more about their group. But this is another great way that benefits us and benefits them. So literally all these three things have literally just happened like in the last 30 days. And I think, like I said, I think we're about to take off, or at least I'm hoping. We'll find out. And so that's what I wanted to share with you today.